Hey guys, welcome to my most anticipated movies of 2015. Not to brag guys, but I think this is the ultimate list for 2015. If you want to know the good stuff coming out, watch this video. I promise you won't regret it, and it's also a personal list. For example, most people have Star Wars at number 1, right on top of the list, and right under that is Avengers Age of Ultron. I do have Star Wars high up on the list, I'm excited for it, but Avengers Age of Ultron, while I'm gonna see it and I'm looking forward to it, it didn't make my top 20 list of the year. Know that going in guys, this is a personal list, but it's also a list of a bunch of really, hopefully good anticipated movies. Now also, before I jump into the list, I have a bunch of movies that are honorable mentions. A good friend of mine, Brad, directed 2 movies that are coming out this year. Because I've seen the movies, that's the only reason why they're not in the list. While I can't say anything about them, if I hadn't seen them, if I were you guys, I'd be really excited to see them. But I just wanted to at least mention them since they weren't on my list. The first one is San Andreas. It's a huge blockbuster starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Paul Giamatti, and Alexander Daddario. And the second one is Incarnate, a small Blumhouse movie, horror film, coming out hopefully later in the year starring Aaron Eckhart. Continuing on that same note of honorable mentions, next up is Everest, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Then we have Mr. Holmes, starring Ian McKellen, about an older Sherlock Holmes reminiscing on his life. A movie called Midnight Special, written and directed by Jeff Nichols, who also did Take Shelter and Mud. Then we have The Jungle Book, directed by Jon Favreau. And while I will see this movie, I am super excited, even more excited to see the movie that's coming out, I think in 2017. That's when Jungle Book Origins comes out, starring Rohan Chand from Bad Words. He's playing Mowgli. It also stars Christian Bale, Cate Blanchett, Benedict Cumberbatch, a bunch of people. So I am looking forward to the Jon Favreau version, but I'm even more looking forward to the Andy Serkis version in 2017. Then we have Sicario from the same director as Prisoners, and this movie is coming out in 2015, stars Emily Blunt. Entourage, the highly anticipated movie following the HBO series. In the Heart of the Sea, directed by Ron Howard and starring Chris Hemsworth. It's the story of Moby Dick. Chappie, directed by Neil Blomkamp, who did District 9 and Elysium, and this stars Hugh Jackman. The Fantastic Four, the reboot, and it stars Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Bell, and Kate Mara. And finally we have Mission Impossible 5, on to the countdown. At number 20, I have a film called Spy, directed by Paul Feig and starring Melissa McCarthy. The two of them worked together on Bridesmaids and The Heat. This seems like a fun action comedy. It also stars Jason Statham, Jude Law, and Rose Byrne. So I'm not expecting anything Oscar-worthy, obviously, but I'm just expecting sort of a fun action-adventure comedy from these guys. At number 19, I have The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott. He's coming back to science fiction. His last sci-fi movie, Prometheus, had mixed reviews, mixed opinions from people. I really liked it. I understand that there are some plot holes in it, but overall, I really enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to this. It stars Matt Damon, and rounding out the cast are Jessica Chastain, Kate Mara, Kristen Wiig, and Jeff Daniels. Next up at number 18 is Mad Max Fury Road. I'm sure you guys know all about this movie. This is one of the ones of 2015 that's been highly publicized. A few trailers have come out. George Miller's back to direct the series. Tom Hardy looks awesome in it. Charlize Theron. Nicholas Hoult plays a really cool looking character. It just seems like a crazy action movie. Really, really intense, really good. What I've heard from people who have seen it is that it's basically a 2-hour car chase. So it looks like fun and it looks like a good summer movie. At number 17 is an Untitled Christmas Eve movie starring Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's directed by Jonathan Levine, who did The Whackness, which was a really, really cool indie film starring Josh Peck a few years ago. And then he did 50-50, the comedy drama with Seth Rogen and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So they're reteaming the 3 of them for this movie. As Christmas movies go, they're either really bad or really good, in my opinion. So I hope this one's one of the good ones. I hope it's fun. At number 16, I have Black Mass. I'm really excited for this movie. It takes place in Boston. It was filmed there as well, in my hometown. It's based off a book basically about the war between the FBI and the Irish Mafia, more specifically Whitey Bulger, who's going to be played by Johnny Depp. He looks completely different in this movie, transformed himself in his appearance. The film also stars Benedict Cumberbatch, and it should be a good movie directed by a solid director, Scott Cooper. At number 15, I have Joy, directed by David O. Russell, and I'm sure you can guess the cast if you don't know it yet. Jennifer Lawrence, Bradley Cooper, and Robert De Niro. Obviously, these guys love working together and make a great film almost every year lately. Seeing as it comes out around Christmas with this caliber of cast and the director, it seems like it'll be an Oscar-worthy movie. So look out for that one coming towards the end of the year. At number 14, I have AntMan. This is on everyone's top 10 list. Not much to say here. It's a Marvel film, new character being introduced into the film world, starring Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas. Everyone's waiting for Marvel to have a hiccup, and who knows, this could be it, but I'm really looking forward to it. As you might know, Edgar Wright was attached to it for years, and his vision was different from what Marvel wanted, so they switched him out for Peyton Reed. We'll see how it goes. The first trailer looks cool. I love the cast. I love Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly, so I'm hoping that this one's good. I'm looking forward to it. At number 13, I have Silence, directed by Martin Scorsese. Anything Scorsese does, I'm excited about. This one has a really interesting cast. It's Liam Neeson with Andrew Garfield. They play two Jesuit priests who travel to the Far East to spread the word of Christianity. That's basically all I know about the film right now, but I'm excited about it basically because of the cast and because of Scorsese. His last film was The Wolf of Wall Street. Really enjoyed that. This seems like a totally different story and tone than that. At number 12, I have Jurassic World. Once again, not much needs to be said about this. The trailer has come out. You guys have seen it, I hope. Starring Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard. A reboot of the franchise. I hope the wait paid off for all these years that they were going back and forth about how to approach the franchise and how to reboot it. So I think everyone's really hopeful and wants this movie to be good. At number 11, I have Spectre, the new Bond film, directed by Sam Mendes. Daniel Craig coming back to play Bond. We also have Dave Bautista in the film, Christoph Waltz, who's awesome, Monica Bellucci. Just a really interesting, solid cast. Really looking forward to this. It's been a few years since we've had a Bond film, and it should just be good fun. So as you guys can see so far, this list is packed with awesome movies. It's gonna be a really good year for film, and I hope you can see now why I had to make a top 20 list with some honorable mentions. I couldn't just cut it down to 10. There are too many good ones, but now let's jump into the top 10. At number 10, I have Pixels. Directed by Chris Columbus, it stars Adam Sandler, Josh Gad, and Peter Dinklage. Not a lot has been released about this film yet, but it seems like it'll be a big hit, especially with gamers. It seems like kind of a modern day Ghostbusters. I like the premise of a bunch of video game experts who are recruited by the military to fight video game characters from the 80s who are attacking New York City. It just seems so bizarre and out there and fun, and I think it'll be good. Here's where the movies get even better. At number 9, I have Crimson Peak, new film by Guillermo del Toro, and he describes the film as a gothic romance. It stars Mia Wasikowska, Tom Hiddleston, and Jessica Chastain. He's not revealing a lot about the film. A few photos have been released. Del Toro is really awesome, really creative, and I'm hoping for a good horror film this year. At number 8, I have an Untitled Cameron Crowe project. I haven't read a lot about this movie. I don't want to know a lot just because the cast is so good. I kind of want to go into it cold, but based on the writer, director, and the cast alone, it seems really good. It was filmed in Hawaii and it stars Bradley Cooper, Emma Stone, Bill Murray, John Krasinski, Danny McBride, Rachel McAdams, and Alec Baldwin. I have a pretty interesting movie at number 7. It's called Trainwreck, directed by Judd Apatow, but surprisingly he didn't write the film, even though he's known for being mostly a screenwriter. Who was the movie written by? Amy Schumer, stand-up comedian, who, to be honest, I'm not crazy about. Who knows, this movie could turn it around for me. I could like her in it, but based off the fact that Judd Apatow directed it. And on a side note, I kind of am glad that he's not writing the film. While The 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up were great films, he followed that up with Funny People and This Is 40. This film stars Amy Schumer, obviously, Bill Hader. LeBron James plays Bill Hader's best friend, which should be pretty funny. And rounding out the cast, we have an impressive list: Daniel Radcliffe, Brie Larson, Vanessa Bayer, Method Man, Tilda Swinton, Marissa Tomei, Ezra Miller, Mike Birbiglia, Katie Mixon, and Randall Park. So I'm just looking for a fun, smart comedy this year, and I think that'll be it, hopefully. At number 6, I have an Untitled Steven Spielberg directed, Tom Hanks starring Cold War project. So far the film is untitled. I haven't read a lot about it, and that's on purpose. Spielberg and Hanks alone reteaming again is a big enough draw for me. I just don't want to know much more about the project. Top 5, guys. Number 5, The Hateful Eight. Written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. I'm a huge Tarantino fan, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. Once again, I haven't read a lot about this film. The script was leaked early, if you guys remember, and there was a live reading of it here in LA I could have gone to, but I decided not to. Last Tarantino film, Django Unchained. I read the script a couple years before the movie came out, and that was interesting. The movie still lived up to the script. It was really good, and I really enjoyed it, but I want to take a different approach to this movie and know nothing about the movie actually. So I'm staying away from the script and the plot line. I do know basically that it's just a Western. It stars Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Channing Tatum, among many others, and I'd be surprised if I don't like this movie. Can't wait to see it later this year. At number 4, I have a movie that isn't getting a lot of buzz yet. It isn't on any of the most anticipated movies of the year lists that I've seen or read so far, and that's The Lost City of Z. Directed by James Gray, who's a really solid director. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch and also Robert Pattinson. It's based off the book by the same name, The Lost City of Z, and it's one that's been basically on the top of my to-read list for a long time now. I just haven't gotten around to it. But it's set in the 20s about a British explorer down in the Amazon. That's all you need to tell me. Based off James Gray, Benedict Cumberbatch, and the plot and setting alone, super excited for this movie. I'm gonna hold off on reading the book now until after I see the movie later this year. I can't wait for it. At number 3 is The Revenant, directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, director of 2014's Birdman. It stars Tom Hardy, who's a great actor. I actually loved his performance in 2014's The Drop with James Gandolfini. Alongside Tom Hardy is Leonardo DiCaprio and also Will Poulter. So it seems like an extremely strong team. Really looking forward to it, and I hope it's good. At number 2 is Star Wars The Force Awakens. Not much to be said about this. Most people have it as their number 1 of the year, but I think J.J. Abrams will do this one right. The first trailer that was released was awesome. That's all that needs to be said. Can't wait to see it. And at number 1, Richard Linklater's That's What I'm Talking About. Now, a release date hasn't been set for this. It might come out in 2016. I'm hoping 2015. That's why I added it to the list. But it's the only thing that could beat out Star Wars this year for my most anticipated. I love Richard Linklater. His movie Boyhood, as you know, came out last year. It was filmed over the span of 12 years. I've loved him ever since Dazed and Confused. It's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. Linklater has said that this film is the spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused. Not exactly sure what that means. I don't think obviously it'll be a direct sequel. He said it's a spiritual sequel, so I hope it has the same vibe, you know, kind of like a slice of life down in Texas. From what I've read, it seems to follow Linklater's life as a college student, starting off as a freshman and leading up to graduation, while also being on the baseball team. So like I said, I love Linklater. I love the concept. I love the fact that it's a spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, one of my favorite movies. So that's why it's at the top spot this year. So if you guys like this video, please share it with your friends, click like, hit subscribe to see more awesome videos. I do videos like this with lists. I also do movie reviews and funny videos and trailer mashups. So hit subscribe down below, and I hope to see you guys soon.